So on to our training piece. I'm excited about this one because I want to get your vantage point on this. Our team is very unique in the sense that we essentially have two groups. It doesn't feel this way in the day-to-day, but we have some older agents that have ran other businesses, they've had other jobs, they've done other things in life, and they come in and they crush. But there's also this other little cohort of agents that are very young, even 19, 20, 21, younger than 25. They haven't run businesses before. They don't have any experience in terms of building stuff, yet they are crushing. I want to get your vantage point on that group. What is it that makes these young agents, the Savannah Romneys, the Sadie Christiansens, the Tyler Stubbs, all of these young agents, the Logan Lamones, what makes them successful when you can make every argument that they shouldn't be successful yet?
Oh, it's kind of a loaded question. I think that there's a lot that goes into it. I think first and foremost, I do think that we train harder, better. Like I'm going to start putting out more content to the consumers here in Utah County about how if you work with a Prairie Group agent, they will be better trained, better equipped, better handled with better support than every other team or brokerage in the state. I'm going to start putting out content like that because I genuinely believe that. I think the most underrated thing right now is if you look for the last couple of years, the average demographic has been older than all of these people, both agents. The average real estate agent in the United States is a 62-year-old white woman at this point. Is that the average demographic of clients? I think for the last 10, 20, 30 years, it was. The average first-time home buyer was almost 40 years old. They are starting to get older and older in age, and you have this big generation of people that were older, but I think what's quickly coming behind them is this Gen Z group of kids. These people that are 18 to 24 years old that feel like the system is against them, that feels like the system is broken, that feels like they are never going to be able to own a home, that feels like inflation has outpaced them, that feels like there is this giant conspiracy theory from the top 1% to tie up all of the wealth that would allow these young people to go in and buy a house. And then you have these young trailblazing agents, these 18, 19, 20, 22, 23-year-old real estate agents that are coming in and absolutely crushing it with that demographic. So I think first things first is our training. Second things second, it is that there is just a massive demographic of people that age. And I think that what these people are doing is that they are crushing social media and getting in front of that demographic at a rate higher than any other generation previously.
Yeah, and for me, it's been a really interesting experiment because you and I were on opposite ends of the football field in this sense. I've always loved the older agent because I can give the older agent the real estate skill set and they have the people skills. We've seen that.
They have the network. They have the database.
It's just
I would say that these older agents that we're working with for brand new leads, like on our Zillow Flex program, these older agents I think are converting sooner and at a higher rate than our younger agents are.
That's right. And you were on the other end of saying, I love having new agents because they don't have any preconceived notions. They don't have any bad habits. I can basically build them up from the ground up. So for me, it's been a really interesting experience seeing that dichotomy between the older agents and the newer. Now, what I would say, the way I see this is I see it similar to the advertising industry.
Yeah.
Historically, the advertising industry was old people, right? It was TV stations, radio people that had been on the radio for 40 years. It was the people that ran advertising were older folks. With the advent of social media, now you have a bunch of young creators. You got Justin here, you've got Tingy, it's gotten much, much, much younger, the people that do content, that do media, that do advertising. I see, in a way, real estate is going to become something similar, where the younger demographic are the ones that are going to take the bulk of the pie because they have that people skills. This stuff is natural to them. So I think as time goes on, similar to advertising that scaled much younger, now you have a bunch of kids that crush at it. I think real estate is on that same trajectory.
Yeah, this is maybe a warning from the mountaintops. As somebody that has both sides of this teeter-totter that we're trying to balance as a team in this office between the older and the younger, I think that real estate agents, I'll give you guys your flowers. Over the last couple of years, I would say there's been this massive push and adoption of social media content. Almost every single agent at this point, if they get a listing, they'll put a listing video up. Hi, welcome to 123 Training Street. We are 5 minutes from this, 3 minutes from this. Let's take a look.
You've done this before.
Every agent has done that before, I would say. Every agent, for the most part, can go out and put that listing video together. So golf clap for you, you older agent, you 45, 50-year-old agent that's doing your best to put it out on Facebook.
Love it.
What I am here to tell you is that you have 1 or 2 years left. You have 1 or 2 years left before this younger generation, in my opinion, completely takes over the social media marketing game. I am telling you, I am watching these young kids closely. I am watching what they are doing. I am seeing the amount of engagement. I am seeing how they're getting that engagement. I'm seeing where that engagement is coming from. And I am telling you, you are about to get steamrolled. You are about to get obliterated. I mean, I just sat down with Savannah. She's 19 years old, brand new agent in the community, has generated 100,000 views in the last 3 weeks on Instagram alone.
That's going to turn to deals.
From
eventually.
not one single listing video. Not one single listing video. 55. I literally reviewed the analytics with her 30 seconds before I walked into our studio.
He was late, by the way.
I was late, by the way. 55% of those views, what age demographic?
Young.
18 to 24 years old. And so I am telling you that right now your listing video, your hi, welcome to 123 Main Street, is going to work for another year. It'll help you brand with the older generation. But if your goal is to work with the younger demographic, you are going to have to be so much better at marketing. You have no idea what's coming for you.
So I agree. I think it's doom and gloom for the older generation if they don't quickly learn the skill set.
I think it's doom and gloom for you and I if we don't constantly revamp our skill set. We're 32. I'm 32. You're 34.
Yes.
We're old as hell compared to some of these kids that are coming in. And so if we are not doing something to adjust to this rising generation, this 18 to 24-year-old generation, their fears are entirely different. There's
totally different.
What they are thinking, the conversations that Savannah is going and having on UVU's campus about what would it take for you to go and buy a house should be terrifying to you. No longer is it a dream. It is now a nightmare. It is now a nightmare. If you are 20 years old, to try to buy a house is no longer the American dream. It is the American nightmare. And am I going to be able to wake up and escape this? Am I going to be able to buy a house? And it is terrifying. And if you are not adjusting your marketing to help soothe some of that and to be a salve for some of that, you are going to miss this mark.
But here's the thing. Most agents will never run the experiment to try to figure out, this was part of my conversation with Savannah, of, okay, you need to get out there. If you say, this goes to niche marketing, if you want to sell to the younger demographic, you need to get out there and figure out what their fears are, figure out what they need, figure out what their questions are. If you don't ever run that experiment, you don't know.
Nope.
And I think that what you mentioned is spot on. So if it's no longer the American dream, it's now the American nightmare, your messaging has to change. What you share has to change. The information, how you package it, how you share it has to change. So if you keep pushing the American dream, and when everybody sees that, they roll their eyes and they're like, no, because you don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not going to land.
It's not going to land, and you're not going to be able to actually help facilitate home ownership in the next generation. The way that you pitched as a boomer, the way that you pitched your generation was, this is the American dream. You paid $190 for this house on 5,000 square feet and an acre lot, and now it's worth $1.2 million. Look at all the cool things you can go and do with it. That is the biggest middle finger to this up and coming Gen Z 18 to 24-year-old generation.
Well, because back then
it was a dream.
Was a no-brainer.
Back then it was a dream. Back then it was the American dream to go and buy a house. It was the smartest decision that you can make.
Now it is no longer a no-brainer.
Right now in Utah, the average rent is almost 80% lower than the mortgage. A mortgage right now, I think it's 66%. A mortgage is 66% more expensive than renting a home of equal or less value.
So you have to be able to make the case that is a good idea.
Well, and not only do you have to make the case, you have to have a legitimate strategy about how you're going to afford this.
Yes.
How are you going to save up when inflation is outpaced minimum wage by 10 to 1? How are you going to adjust to this? How are you going to adjust to this when interest rates are now 5 times more expensive than they were, especially when you look at the average home price is almost 300% more expensive than it was in 1999? How are you going to strategize around this? How are you going to build marketing? Not only, getting the views is one thing, but how are you going to build a strategy to help these people actually get into a home? That's where you're going to miss the mark, and that's where you're going to lose to these younger agents.
That's the game. So older agents, I know it sounds a little bit doom and gloom, but I think that we all need to your point, and we'll close with this, sharpen your saw. You need to get those skills. You need to stop being insecure. You need to stop overthinking it. You need to get in these rooms with these folks, understand what is happening, and become a good player. Become a good player. Stop thinking, I'm too old, this sucks. If you have any inkling of that opinion, you are going to lose.
Well, and you have two options at this point. Number one, go and hire a real estate coach. They'll give you the same advice for $1,500
Yes.
dollars a month, or tune in every single week to the Future Agent podcast where we give all of this information away for free because we're sponsored by Liquid Death. We'll see y'all next week, and I'll try not to crash out next week.